Today, I'm talking about something that is incredibly important. In fact, it might be the most important thing that I've ever talked about because really your entire life is based on this. And many of you don't even know it. Yet, once you start to understand what I'm about to explain today, you're going to see how your life is how it is and how it can start to become what it is you would like it to be. So, what is it I'm going to be talking about that is so mysterious yet so incredibly important? Today, I am talking about life energy. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Let's get started. What exactly is life energy and why is this so important? What do I mean by that? So my background is in electrical engineering, and I'm bringing this episode to you from near San Francisco. So I'm here briefly in between trips to South America. So I hope you've enjoyed the episodes that were in Colombia and in Chile, and getting ready to head off to Greece. So you'll likely get to see some podcasts recorded in Greece. So make sure you know you're subscribed and following and all that stuff. And so, what exactly is life energy? Well, I like to think of the human system very much like a cell phone. And so it's, I'm recording this actually using a camera from my cell phone because it's such a good camera, just like your eyes are so incredibly good. Yet, if the phone could just see, but it can't do anything with what it sees or make sense of anything that it sees, it's not very useful, right? Similar to us. Like we have to have connections, internally and externally. And like a phone, we need energy that is gonna, power us. But then I'm gonna get a little technical, but without getting technical, because as many of you know, my background is in electrical engineering. My doctorate is as an electrical engineer, and I've worked, in large tech companies in that field. And really, one of my expertise was complex systems and their programming. And now I've just switched that focus to the most complex system in known existence, which is the human system, which is us. And so, a lot of the principles, because I've talked on this podcast before about the principle of correspondence, the Hermetic principle of as within, so without, as above, so below. And so, which briefly summarizes that something that happens in one realm, is applicable in other realms. So a lot of these principles that I've learned as an electrical engineer, they apply to the human system. So as with a phone, so with a human actually, but a human system is so much more elegant, amazing, beautiful power, and there's so much more that we don't even know about that it actually will make the phones that you use just seem like almost like a simple calculator. But like there's energy that powers the phone, that powers our human system. There's another concept of information, of like, well, what do you know, what do you remember? And on a phone you think of this as like, it's the stored picture, or it's the getting the message. So it's like there's but really information is also just energy. It takes energy to store, it takes energy to read, it takes energy to transmit. And so if we take this concept to the human system, anything that you know, anything that you've learned, anything that comes to you intuitively is also energy. So that energy that it requires you to, get up to lift something, that's a form of energy. But then also what you're inspired to do, what you're scared to do, your emotions, your energy in motion, that's also energy. Life energy is the all-encompassing term for the energy that is basically you and what could be you when what has been you. Because another thing, again, you get a little technical, but not technical. You don't, but we know from physics, this is one of the things Einstein came up with, and in some ways he maybe wasn't. There was a lot of things Einstein discovered that he's like, oh, this makes me uncomfortable. I don't like this. This wasn't one of them, but basically that energy and our material world, mass, they're related. That's the famous E equals mc squared. That mass, that matter, is basically can be converted to energy. So the physical world, anything that you're touching that you are physically, although we also know that there's not a whole lot of us here, that the 99% plus whatever of all of the world that we think is so solid is actually just empty space. And so when you're like, okay, well, Justin, what's the point of all this? That everything is energy. The point of this is that if you become aware and you start to be open to, well, what if I start working with the energy, which is basically all of you and all of your world in a different way, it allows your world to shift much more easily, much more elegantly, and allows you to have the experience, have the life, have the world, the relationships, the connections that you would like, because effectively those are all energetic. Whether and a lot of this is like you don't necessarily have to believe it. Just kind of like, electromagnetism. It's always existed as long as this planet has been here, yet it's only a relatively short amount of time that humans have been able to work with it, to measure it, to harness it, to do things with it. And so it's very conceivable that there could be other things that are able to be known, measured, worked with that we don't have human created um, tools to let us measure them, right? Yet the human system, the human body is actually it's a tool, it's a technology. Like, it's able to impact the environment and it's able to take measurements from the environment. And it's way more advanced than the phone that I began to talk with. Like we are able to transmit information, we're able to receive information, and then we need energy to fuel us to do the mechanisms, the processes, the things to go about our life, right? And so there's other ways, just like your phone has multiple ways to power up. So does the human system. Like we think that it's, oh, I just need to eat food, and that's what's going to make me feel energized. Yet there's so much more to that than just the food we eat. It can be a very big part. Yet energy is coming from the sun, from our other aspects of our environment, and then there's the information aspect of so I've just been traveling in South America. I've taken my phone with me, yet if I go somewhere different and I don't do something different with my phone, if I don't calibrate correctly, one of two things happens. Either I have no signal where I go, right? Or maybe I have to pay a big price. So I'm on a company where if I go and I don't do anything, I just get charged $10 a day to use my phone. But I could get another SIM card, or I could get different things. Yet when I'm somewhere different and I have this amazing equipment of a phone, and I take it somewhere that maybe is not the best, in rural areas, like the phone doesn't work as well, right? Because the connection is not as fast, it's not as vibrant, and so I'm not able to get the functionality that I want. And our human system is very, very similar in that if you aren't consciously connecting to the service provider, if you will, that is designed for your hardware, you are going to be getting you're not going to be getting as much information. It's going to take you a lot more energy, because it's one of those things that it's funny, go on a hike where there's no service, and the phone continues to try to connect, it wants to connect just like we want to connect, yet it has to work so hard, but there's nothing out there to connect to, and so the battery gets drained. And we have that often too, where if we're trying to connect, but we don't have the method to connect with what we're wanting to connect with, it's a huge drain. And so, how many of you out there feel just you're disconnected, you're drained, you're not feeling satisfied, you're not feeling like you're getting the information, so that you can feel joyful, feel like you're in a state of ease, and feeling like you're loving your life, because that's the natural state you're meant to be. That's what you are designed to experience. Yet it requires that you have the correct energetic connections to your world. And so a little bit more on, what are these energetic connections and how do they, because it's one of these things, like we still like to think that, well, it's just whatever is the physicality, that's what matters. But if we look at the DNA of like an oak tree, of like an acorn, of a thriving tree and of a tree that's sick or dying, they contain the exact same, DNA, you know, potential, right? And it might even be two trees right next to each other, and one's thriving and the other is dying. And so it's like, even like, well, there's something with the environment, and there could even be an acorn that's right there. You get three very different forms, but the same, on the physical level, same DNA, same potential. What is changing? And that is the life energy that each of those instantiations is supported by, connected into, able to utilize to become whatever it is or will be or has been. And so when you become conscious and aware and start to work on this level, that like, oh, I could refuel my human battery in different ways, and I can connect to different connections like intuition, different emotional states, on a much more conscious level of being aware that these matter, that these are important, that these are possibilities. And you might be going like, oh, how do I do that? And that's what I'm going to get to here in a little bit. But it's just start to believe in the possibility. And it's one of these things I'm not really asking you to believe. It's one of those I'm asking you to think that it's possible. And then I'm going to tell you ways that it can actually be something that gives you very fast, very meaningful changes in your life, where you can go from feeling depleted, tired, frustrated, angry, scared, obligated, guilty, whatever it is. It's you're just like, I have these pillows here, that have like emotions and things like this, and they have, they call them good emotions and bad emotions, and we're just going to leave it at that for this episode. But you want to be able to experience more of the good emotions, and starting to be open to life energy and how that is working for you or not for you, and recognizing that you can shift it. You can tap into, just like when you take your phone to another country, you can say, oh, I'm going to tap into another cell network, or I'm going to tap into Wi-Fi. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, this phone's amazing. The battery life lasts forever. I'm able to, get the information and do the tasks, all the things that I want. The human system is very, very similar, if not more powerful, because it's more complex, and also has a lot more years of engineering by various ways, evolutionary biology, whatever you want to go with. It doesn't matter how the system is, how it is how it is. And when you learn how to work the system by learning to work with life energy, it becomes a whole lot more enjoyable to utilize it. It's kind of like some of you maybe know how to, drive a car or ride a bike, but if you don't know, if you're learning, or none of these things are fun. It's not fun to ride a bike if you don't know how to ride. It's not fun to drive a car if you don't know how to drive a car. But if you learn these things and get proficient, they become immensely enjoyable, such as being a human in a human body with a human system. So you might be going like, well, how do I start to work with this? And it's one of these things that I've basically, my whole life has been sort of devoted to working with these principles indirectly, and more recently, in the last several years, way more directly. And so I've developed an incredibly powerful, life-changing tool that will allow you to basically get disconnected from any energetic connections, any life energy connections that are not serving you, if only for a little bit, so you can get some calm, clarity, comfort, to recharge, to repower, and connect, so that you can have the intuition and the knowing of, okay, here's what I do next. And these little shifts, they compound just like interest in a bank account compounds. And you'll start to notice that you're connected to what fuels you much more often than not. And you'll start to connect to people, places, that are much, much more enjoyable and beneficial to the life that you want to have. And so, I've talked about this a little bit and done many programs, taught many people this, and I'm starting to teach more. But it's the life energy activation process is an incredible tool that I've developed. I use it multiple times a day, and it only takes 4 minutes to practice the life energy activation process, or LEAP, as I'm calling it. And so you just do a 4-minute practice of LEAP, and It's like complete reset, and it's you can do it anywhere, anytime, and it really does for you energetically what kind of like a reset of your phone does for your phone. Because sometimes just you ever use your phone and it's just like, why is it not connecting to the Bluetooth, or why is this app acting weird? And then you just do a reset the phone, and 2 minutes later, everything just magically works. This is what Leap does will do for you. It's what it does for me. It's what it does for the many people that I've taught. And if you're like, I'm interested, I do have an upcoming live event that I'll be teaching this at a workshop. I call it like the 4 level recharge, because this really does work on the 4 key levels, which is your physical level, your emotional level, how you feel, your mental level, the thoughts, and then also the energy level, the life energy level, which is honestly, whether you want to believe it or not, that's the most fundamental level, because all the other levels are actually built upon that. Yet, even if you don't believe about it, care about it, it works on these other levels. And so you feel great, you move your body, and you can do it anywhere, anytime. And the workshop to learn it only takes 1 hour. And so it's the 4 level recharge. It's going to be happening in Pacifica at Ocean Yoga on May 2nd, 1 p.m. And it's just 1 hour. So if you are in the Bay Area, highly advise you to sign up for that. If you're not, I do this virtually at times. So make sure that you're like on my mailing list, that you're following my posts, or even just, send me an email, send me a message, say, Justin, I want to know this life energy activation process. I want Leap. I want this tool that is in 4 minutes. I can, get like a reset, a recharge, and really start to, let things be easier and more impactful. Because it's not just about zenning out and being blissed out. It's about knowing that you can do what it is you're meant to do, and to enjoy it along the way and with people that you love and care about, because that's what the human system is really all about. It's what it's engineered to do. That's why my book is called Engineered to Love. um, and so I'm really, excited to start sharing this tool, this Leap tool, with more and more people, because I'm telling you, I've tried so many things over the years, and being someone who's been incredibly busy, and from depression, anxiety, fearful, all these things, this is something that just works, and it works for somebody who's busy, because again, it only just takes 4 minutes to do, and I can, teach it to you in an hour. And so I really would encourage you to, make sure you're on my list, sign up for that workshop, make sure that we have the links and things like that available on my website, wherever you're seeing this. So yeah, life energy, it's incredibly important, yet it doesn't have to be a complicated. You don't have to go, study, years in India or wherever. It's something that you can start to work with. Um, you know, Learn something in as little as an hour, and something you can practice in just 4 minutes, as often or as little, because it's incredibly powerful. So a little goes a long way. Yet the more you, like anything, like working out the body physically, the more you do it over time, the results compound. And I really want you to enjoy these beautiful, wonderful results. So with that, love to hear what you think, and if you're interested. And again, my next stop is be Athens, Greece for a while. So looking forward to doing a podcast or two from there, checking that out. Really, it was incredibly enjoyable to be in Colombia and Chile, and just see some really incredible different parts of this world. And yeah, and it's different places are very different. And it's one of those things, I love being able to go around the world and capture these experiences, and the energies, because the different locations have different energies. And I'm continuously making the life energy activation process more powerful, more beneficial, and you don't have to do anything. Just you just got to learn the process, and you get the benefits as it continues to get better. It very is much like, on your phone. You get a good phone, and you have a good connection, and you do a little maintenance, and the phone provider provides updates for you, such as this. So I would really like to get you plugged into your ideal life energy with my Leap. And yeah, I'd like to hear what you've been thinking about the travel so far. And if there's anything you'd like more of on the show. And definitely do remember to rate, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. Share with a friend or share with a colleague. And yeah, and if it's something that this sounds like exciting and you're like, I want this, sooner than later, then reach out and let's set up, we can, come up with a one-on-one session, or maybe if you got a group of people, like I'm doing this for organizations and teams now as well. So yeah, let me know. We'll be in touch. So with that, thank you and good day. Thanks for tuning in to Engineering Emotions and Energy with Justin Wenck, Ph.D. Today's episode resonated with you? Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback not only supports the show, but also helps others find us and start their journey of emotional and energetic mastery. You can also help by sharing this podcast with someone you think will love it just as much as you do. Together, we're engineering more amazing lives.